Apple has officially unveiled the iPhone 14, and pre-orders have been as brisk as ever, with delivery dates already slipping into October if you haven't already ordered. But if Apple's latest and greatest doesn't appeal, perhaps you'll be better off holding out for the iPhone 15? This year, Apple gave its iPhone 14 Pro models a big upgrade over the regular iPhone 14. It reserved the new A16 Bionic chip for the Pros, and we saw a huge display upgrade with a new animated notch, what Apple calls a dynamic island. The company also focused heavily on safety features this time and brought crash detection and emergency SOS via satellite connectivity features to all the iPhone 14 models. As for the iPhone 15, it's extremely early days and as such very little has been revealed. But longer-term upgrades like a USB-C charging port and a new periscope camera for additional zoom capabilities have been rumored for some time, and we can already begin to piece together a picture of what 2023's iPhone 15 will feature, when it'll arrive and how much it'll cost. Of all the early iPhone 15 rumors, this is the most set in stone. In the last decade, Apple has only announced its new flagship smartphones outside of September once. October 2020, amid a once-in-a-generation pandemic that necessitated stay-at-home orders and disrupted tech supply chains. As such, it is highly likely that the iPhone 15 will arrive in September 2023. Typically, Apple announces its phones about 10 days before they're released, with pre-orders opening a week ahead of go time. With the iPhone 14, there was strong speculation that we would see a 15% price increase, but this turned out to be incorrect, if you live in the United States. Other regions saw a substantial increase, but in the US the only change in pricing was the elimination of the cheapest mini model. That means that prices currently go from $799 for the 128GB entry-level iPhone 14 all the way up to $1,599 for the 1TB iPhone 14 Pro Max. We would expect something similar this time around, but it's entirely possible that the iPhone 15 will see the price rise that the US missed out on in 2022. If so, expect an increase of $100 or so. This year, Apple killed the iPhone mini, and introduced the iPhone 14 Plus instead. That simplified the choice. Whether you wanted to go Pro or not, you could get either a 6.1 or 6.7-inch screen. It's extremely likely that this will continue into next year. It was obvious within months that the iPhone 12 mini was not selling well, but Apple had to persist with the iPhone 13 mini because plans were fixed and couldn't be changed. That means that in the unlikely event that the iPhone 14 Plus bombs, we will probably still see next year's lineup mimicking this year's: the iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Plus, iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max. A recent TrendForce report used these names to highlight expected iPhone 15 features, so keeping the same naming convention seems like a real possibility. But there could be one addition to this list: an iPhone 15 Ultra. Reliable tipster Mark Gurman recently tweeted that after the Apple Watch Ultra that was launched this year, we could expect the variant for iPhones in the future, something he later reiterated in his newsletter. Could this mean a completely new iPhone 15 Ultra? Or will the Pro Max simply get rebranded as the Ultra? We will have to see. The only real iPhone 15 design rumor so far is that 2023 is the year when Apple finally abandons the Lightning port on its phones. This isn't wholly surprising. Not only has the company adopted the connection for its laptops and tablets, but the European Union has officially mandated that all phones will have to use USB-C by 2024. While Apple could keep the Lightning port elsewhere in the world, it would be adding complexity and expense for no real gain. While rumors of a portless iPhone persist, the analyst Ming-Chi Kuo reckons that it's USB-C for at least some of Apple's handsets. If a portless one does come next year, our guess is it could be a Pro feature. Mark Gurman also reported that the iPhone 15 will have USB-C, and that a portless model will arrive at some point, he just didn't specify when. This USB-C rumor for the iPhone 15 was given more backing by somewhat reliable tipster Leaks Apple Pro, who claimed that USB-C ports and the dynamic island could be seen on every iPhone 15 model. The latter is a positive tip, as we'd be a little put out if Apple were to only give iPhone 15 Pro models a USB-C connection. And now that the EU has said all phones need to be USB-C by 2024, we're pretty sure the iPhone 15 will be USB-C. Despite rumors that Touch ID will make a return, Mark Gurman claims Apple has no plans to bring fingerprint scanning back to flagship iPhones for the foreseeable future. Apparently the company has been testing in-display Touch ID, and even discussed adding it to the power button, but instead it looks like Face ID will be the only option next year and beyond. It's a shame really, since this feature has been MIA on top-end Apple handsets since the iPhone 8. A little bit of choice goes a long way, and Touch ID certainly would have been handy during the pandemic months when everyone was wearing a mask and Face ID struggled to cope. A new rumor from Ming Chi Kuo claims that two high-end iPhone 15s will feature solid-state buttons, similar to the home button found in the likes of the iPhone SE. We don't know much more than this, but it could be one of those features that offers plenty of side benefits, especially where durability is concerned. One of the earliest rumors of the iPhone 15 includes a likely upgrade to a new camera. After raising the megapixels bar to 48 MP on the iPhone 14 Pro models, word is that the iPhone 15 could finally get a periscope camera for better long-range photography and zoom capabilities, supposedly along with improved lenses for better quality photos. This is something that Android handsets in our best camera phones list have done for some time, and it would be great to see Apple finally offering this. Though, as ever, we'd be very surprised if this wasn't initially Pro only, if it arrives in 2023 at all. Speaking of Pro differentiation, the analyst Ming Chi Kuo thinks that Apple will give its Pro models some unique features and could be looking to upsell its larger 6.7-inch handsets with exclusive features over the smaller models. What these could be was left open to speculation at this point, but it's possible that a periscoping camera could be an iPhone 15 Pro Max only feature in an effort to upsell. It's early days, but two rumors have emerged. One feels extremely likely, while the other could yet be wishful thinking. Starting with the likely, adoption of the A17 chipset would once have felt like a certainty, but this year only the iPhone 14 Pro benefited from an all-new chipset, while the regular model used a slightly souped-up version of the A15. We would assume this is the new normal, so the iPhone 15 Pro handsets could get the A17, while the regular iPhone 15 might get an enhanced version of the A16. The latest report from TrendForce also suggests that the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus will keep the A16 Bionic CPU and only the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, or Ultra, will get upgraded to the rumored A17 chipset. Obviously, that doesn't tell us much about performance, but the A17 is expected to be the first chip to be made with the 3 nanometers manufacturing process, which could mean big things for both speed and efficiency.